That's weird because usually, here we go. Well, awesome. But I wonder if that's only between you and I. That must just be between you and I.
Maybe.
Okay, I'll go tell everyone the call is open. So when you write one little sentence, it's big. I like that on Facebook. Have you noticed that new little feature?
I have.
So is it only if you write a few words or something? I've been so far out of the loop.
Oh, trust me too.
Okay, let's see how many callers we got. Oh, they're building. What's up, everybody? So bizarre because you can't hear them back. Thanks for being here, guys.
But they're there?
They are there. Now, if you were a viewer, you could communicate with the other people.
Oh, it's weird that the host can't, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to one day fix that to where you can, if you have the option at least. It would be nice. But what I can do is open up the call in another window box so I can see the chat at least. I just have to be careful.
Oh, it's weird that the host can't, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to one day fix that. See, that's why I have to be careful because you have to.
Oh, like if you open it up.
I have to mute it, yeah. Hold on one second. Okay, now you can hear me?
I can.
And hi, Allison. And I have my screen open and I'm muted. So that way there's no feedback. And I can see the chat in case anyone has any questions. I can feel.
Oh, cool.
Okay, well, since it's everyone's lunch break, we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining the DFG team call on Tuesday. I don't even know what the day is. 22nd, maybe? I don't even know. Just got back from a vacation, so I'm just a little bit confused. But I'm just so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we have Courtney hosting. Courtney Muscatello will be hosting on something that's pretty interesting and vital, obviously, our personal development. But she's talking about maybe something that could be missing. And I know a lot of times we feel like, man, there's just got to be this missing piece. I know I felt that way through a lot of the beginning of my journey. And now I'm in a place where I feel that way again. So, you know, like this is life. This is business. But I'm just really excited to have Courtney speak. She's always got some truth bombs. She talks to you straight. You never get any fluff from her. And I love that. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to flip it over to Courtney. Girl, thank you so much for hosting today.
You're welcome. So can you hear me okay? Okay, I see Lindsay's face. I don't know who else on this call. I don't know your chat. I have no idea. So I'm just going to keep rolling. Welcome to the call. I know many of you know who I am. And I just wanted to touch on a topic that has been really important to my journey in the last 6 months, especially in the last 1 month. And something that I didn't know I really would be qualified to talk about until I've been working with Josh Coates in the network. And I'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. But what I really wanted to talk about is personal development on a different level. So many of you have read personal development, you listen to it, you share it, but how many of you are truly absorbing it? And how many of it or how much of it is really relevant to your life? And we always talk about read personal development, but unless you're picking the right things and you're doing it at the right times, it's really not going to do anything for you. You're just kind of, for lack of a better term, you're just wasting your time. So I hope that what I'm about to show you and what I'm about to talk about is relevant to you and can help you on your journey too. So I have a PowerPoint and I'm going to screen share. And I hope, can you see my screen? I don't know. Lindsay, I can see you. So if you want to, yay, okay. So let's see. Okay, that's me. Okay. So personal development, I heard someone talk about this a while back, and I really wanted to touch on the topic again. I think it was Shay Stanford. I can't quite remember. I think it's her. That was talking about personal development like a seatbelt. It's more of a preventative thing in many ways, and something that if you aren't doing it, if you're not buckling up your seatbelt and you get in an accident, the seatbelt's not going to do anything, and it's going to be too late by the time that you figure out you need it. So personal development is the same way. You're building up your confidence. You're doing it in a preventative way so that when you need it, it's there for you. When you use personal development like a Band-Aid, it's a lot harder to dive deep into it, and it's a lot more difficult on your journey. And how do I know this? Two major things have happened to me in the last year that has completely turned my life, not upside down, but completely in the other direction. And two things that I've been dealing with for the last year. Many of you know this, but my mom has cancer, and she's been off and on chemo for the last year. And we've gotten to the point where now she's still hanging in there, but we're really not sure what to do. And we also, earlier this year, have adopted a second dog, Molly. She's the white one in that picture. And honestly, that was really tough in the beginning because she was super sweet to us, but many of you also know this, that she bit one of my friends, and then she also bit me a month later. And throughout all that, I'm just thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I going too far? Am I not doing enough? Am I doing something wrong? Why can't I deal with this? And there were two different things that were beating me up inside and making me feel inadequate in a lot of ways. And the things that were really important to me that I was doing before these two things happened started to become less of a priority. And unfortunately, Beachbody was one of those things. But the more time that goes on and the more time between then and now that has gone by, I realized Beachbody is the reason why I've been able to deal with these things. And so I was trying to think, I'm reading personal development. I'm getting up every day and I'm doing this, I'm coaching and I'm going through the motions, but what am I missing? This picture to me was a really hard day. I woke up and I was just not feeling it. And I did not want to post for any of my groups. And this picture, I wanted to cry. I wanted to do everything except for smile for everybody. And it really was the turning point to me where I was like, what am I missing? What do I need in my life? What do I need as far as my personal development goes? Because it's there, I'm doing it, but why isn't it working? And I know many of you probably feel like this too, where you think, I'm doing it, but there's something wrong. It's not anybody else. It's actually what you're doing or not doing. And so I wanted to give you 5 things that your personal development might be missing. These are from my personal experience, and there might actually be more than 5, but I wanted to give you 5 very doable steps because your brain is only capable of focusing on 4 to 7 things every single day. And so 5 just sounded like a really good number. 7 seemed like too much to me. So thing 1, this is something that I wasn't doing every day. I was getting into my car and I was buckling my seatbelt and I was putting my personal development on, and then I was driving to work. And throughout this, I was listening to it, but I was also focusing on my driving. Sometimes I would start thinking about things and I would not really understand what I just heard. Until Josh Coates, and I guess I could talk about that training now, but Josh Coates is he's not employed by Beachbody. He's not even a coach, I don't think, but he helps a lot of the coaches, and he's more of a social media / personal development / trainer / mentor of sorts. He has a lot of different titles, a lot of different responsibilities, and he has really focused his attention on Beachbody. And so he is a big part of our community. He has helped some of the top 10 coaches. He has helped numerous elite coaches. And his job is to really help build people up to see their fullest potential. So when he was doing this personal development training for 2 months, the rest of this year, I thought, I need this in my life. And he told me in the very beginning, you really need to pick up the physical book and read your personal development, because until you do that, you're not really going to be understanding what you're reading or hearing. So I really took that to heart. I got an actual personal development book. I'm reading it, and every single page is a different thought. I'll highlight things, I will go through the motions, but I'm actually absorbing it. Thing 2, find the time. Time is something that we all struggle with. I don't care who you are, where you are, how old you are, whether you work or whether you have kids, I don't care. We all struggle with time. We all struggle with priorities, time, same thing. We struggle with finding the time, but we also all share one thing. We all have 24 hours in the day. For me, I work full time. A lot of days my work is not just like the 8 to 5. It's sometimes 6 in the morning to 10 at night. Sometimes I have networking events. Sometimes I do things on weekends. And we all need to make sure that we find the time for our personal development, because it's not going to help us just with our Beachbody businesses. It's not going to help us just with our jobs or our children. It's going to help us in every single area of our lives. But let me expand on that for a second. And I really want to focus on personal development twice in your day. Now, many of you are thinking, how am I going to put one time personal development in my day, let alone 2? Like, I need to carve out one part of my day. Now you're telling me I need to do 2. Now, hear me out. The reason why I'm saying this is because until I started doing this with Josh in the last month, I didn't realize how powerful it could be. So I get my book out first thing in the morning, and I read 15 to 20 minutes by myself before I turn anything on. Typically, it's before I turn my computer on, before I turn my phone on, before I start checking my emails that I got late the night before. I don't turn on Facebook. I don't turn on Instagram, nothing. The book is in my hands, usually even before I brush my teeth. And I just read a few pages. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to fall back to sleep, but I just keep reading until I think I found my message, and then I turn my devices on. But not only that, someone told me, and I cannot remember who this is either. I'm really bad with this. I need to remember who tells me things so I can go back and ask some more questions about it. But someone told me, or I read recently, that the last thought that you have at night impacts the first thought you have in the morning. So I'll say it again. The last thought you have at night impacts what you think about first thing in the morning. So when you are picking up that book and even just reading a few sentences before you go to bed, you're going to wake up just a little bit stronger than if you hadn't done that. I can't tell you how many times I have gone to bed with my phone in my hand or my iPad, and that's the last thing I look at. I look at my email, I check my games that I play, and then I turn it off. I can't sleep that well. I wake up tired. By incorporating reading at night, it's really helped me first thing in the morning, and I think it will for you too. Thing 3, choose the right material. Now, this kind of goes back to what we have been talking about with personal development, but I really want you to consider the material that you're reading. And the reason why is because when I was doing personal development earlier this year, I was focusing on things that could impact my business. Whether it was my day job or whether it was Beachbody, I was reading things like mastering the complex sale or developing the leader within you. And my thought process was, if I'm reading something that is related to what I'm doing on a daily basis, it's going to build me up even stronger. That was actually doing the very opposite thing that I wanted it to do. I work in a sales position in my day job, and I don't want Beachbody to be another sales ticket for me. Beachbody is something that's so much more than that, and sales is just a necessity to get the ball rolling. So I really wanted to focus on things that would build my mind. So instead of picking those sales books, maybe I'll pick up Think and Grow Rich, which is what I'm reading right now with Josh, or something like GoPro, or well, I guess GoPro might not be the best example, but The Go Giver is a great one. And I was trying to pick out books that were building my self-confidence and building my mind without adding more business-like material onto my plate. So if you are struggling with finding the right book, I would try to find something that you want to improve on your patience, improve on your self-confidence, and find a book related to those different topics so that it'll build your self-confidence up even more. And I also wanted to talk about the right book at the wrong time is actually the wrong book. So let's say you find this amazing book and you open it up and you're like, this is perfect. This is what I need. But maybe a chapter or two in and you're like, this is boring, or I can't relate to it, or it's not helping me in the way I want. Don't necessarily think it's the 100% wrong book. It's just the wrong book at the wrong time. So just put it to the side, start another book that speaks to you, and then maybe in 6 months, that other book will be relevant to you. It always changes depending on your situation and months and everything. So keep those books and then move on, and don't feel bad for not finishing it. Move on until something speaks to you, and then keep reading that book. Thing 4. Take an inspirational seat. So they say take a seat, but I wanted to expand on that because where you read your personal development makes a huge difference. I'm not reading my personal development first thing in the morning in bed because I know it's way too easy to get back under the covers and fall back to sleep. So what I do personally is I come to the living room, I turn the lamp on next to the couch, and I read there. And it's forming a habit. So I wake up, I sit on the couch and read my book. If many of you have outdoor porches, I live in Florida, so it's pretty warm, chilly in the mornings, but I like to sit outside in a chair. It makes my mind a little bit, breathe a little bit easier, I guess. Some of you have day beds, some of you have cozy chairs. I would definitely find a space that you can make your own, that you enjoy sitting at, to read what you may or may not enjoy at that time. Some things you're going to read are going to be boring. Some things you're going to read are going to be very inspirational. But if you're enjoying where you're doing it, it's going to be a lot easier to get through that part of your book to the next part. And thing 5, I want you to share it with a friend. Personal development is something that's important to share with those loved ones around you. You wouldn't get in the car and someone next to you isn't buckling their seatbelt. You're going to go and say something, right? Most of you would. Aren't you going to buckle your seatbelt? This personal development is the same thing. You should be sharing the things that you're reading with your friends. You should be recommending things to them. Make it a family event. If many of you were like, I really just don't have time because I have 3 kids I'm taking care of, or 2 kids, or even 1, that's a full-time job in itself. It's a 24/7 job. And why don't you make it a family event? Get your book out and read it with your children and make it something that is a family thing. But most of all, just do it, because honestly, it's the most important thing out of any day. I have probably 3 bosses in my day job, and this is also something that they really encourage, is to get out and do things that are not work related. Get out and do things that are going to build your mind, because unless you're doing that, then you're not able to some of the things that come your way. And I'm going to stop sharing this now. Maybe. There we go. And stop sharing. There we go. So I think you can probably see me again. I don't know. But I think personal development is such a big deal. It doesn't matter if it's Beachbody related. It doesn't matter if it's sales related. It doesn't matter if it's anything that has to do with any sort of work. It's really, when it comes down to it, it's about your mind, it's about your strength. And when something happens, like someone you love come up to you and say, I have cancer, it's aggressive, and I don't know how we're going to get past this, but we're going to try. where if you have your personal development already in you, it's going to be that much easier to deal with it. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. And I have about 9 minutes left. So if anyone has any questions, I'm not sure if they do, but Lindsay can take over.
Oh my gosh. Well, no questions coming in just yet. But let me just say that was some very relevant points to ponder for sure. Thank you. I wrote down all of them, and it's so funny because like we've gotten into that Audible trend, and we see coaches that have read 52 books in 1 year because they were listening to them, and I feel the same way about reading it. I think that is necessary. Same thing with like writing things down. It's just another way to remember it. Now, if you're going to listen to the same thing over and over repetitively, like you said, it takes like 5 to 7 times to hear something to retain it, then that's one thing. But to just listen, you might not be taking it all in like you think. You start thinking about other things. You start, your mind's drifting. And like you said, you're just like, what did I even listen to? So I think reading it is a fantastic idea. Also, the inspiration chair. I know John Maxwell, he has a reading chair. He doesn't do anything in it but read. He doesn't write in it. He doesn't sing in it. He doesn't eat in it. He just reads in it. And I think that that's important. And to have somewhere inspirational. I know when I was, looking for a house to buy, I was like, I want some place where I would feel inspired, a place that I can look out over something when I'm reading. I can, that's important. So that was a great point. And then, of course, you said share it with a friend, and that like ding dong, and I wrote down, I treat my network as a friend. I talk to my Facebook network like they're friends, and I know for a fact, because Time Hop or On This Day reminds me, when I first began building my business, I shared things as my Facebook status from my personal development that spoke to me. And I did that because if it resonated with me and made me feel like I could conquer the world or really get to work and move mountains, make waves, and really start building a foundation, I knew that if I posted that the people who were ready to receive that kind of information and make changes of their own and feel inspired to start their own business, they were going to read it, they were going to feel drawn to it, and they were going to start following me, if not reach out immediately. So yes, absolutely. Share it with a friend, share it with your family, people you love, but also share it with your network. You want other people to be receiving that same information that you are. They're going to be inspired by you taking that time to read each day, and they're going to start thinking they need to do it too.
And also, it's also about posting. I know a lot of coaches are saying, I don't know what to post today. If you're reading something and there's something that catches your eye, maybe it's 5 words, make a graphic really quick, or take a picture that speaks to you and put the word swag letters on it. And like, I've started to do that recently, and a lot of people give their feedback, and it's not, once upon a time, like 6 months ago, it was more of a negative feedback. People are like, oh, I'm praying for you. I'm so worried for you. I'm so sorry. And a lot of people are like, oh, she's like really going down the wrong path. And now when I post those things, my words are different, and people notice that. And I think just absorbing myself in those little tiny steps throughout the day for the last month has really helped me, and it's helped other people. And it's just very, very simple things, but unless you hear them, you might not know they exist.
Thank you. Exactly. It's often the simple things that we overlook. We're like, oh, that's too easy for it to even matter or make a difference. Actually, in fact, the most important things you can be doing, like the 3 vital behaviors, people are like, oh yeah, I'll get to that. But first, let me build a website and buy all the training. No, really, it's those 3 simple things that if you do those over and over and in front of enough people and keep showing up no matter how many times you get hit, that's what matters. So yeah, it's the simple things that we think are just too insignificant to compound, but they do if we do them over and over. Yeah, one last thing about if it's not the right book, move on. Yes, we do not have to feel like we have to read the most trendiest book. I know I have a good book when I can't even make it a paragraph before I'm like highlighting. And then I look back and it's like the entire page is highlighted. So I made a little note. That's when you know you got a good book. And you know what's like that for me is The Compound Effect and The Slight Edge. They're basically the same book, but both of them are like that for me because it can apply to everything, not just business. It can apply to your entire life. But what I have to do is, because as soon as I read something, I want to immediately share it with DFG or my PS Coach group. But I highlight, I keep reading, I finish, and then I go back and craft a post on the things I highlighted. And that way I can add value to my team, I can add value to my network, and I really need to get back into doing that.
Me too.
Thanks for the reminder. Oh man, I get excited just thinking about it. Let's see, James says, I mostly ask a question with each picture I post. That's very good, yes. And a question, to get some engagement going. And Tara had something really smart. She said, the rule of recency versus primacy. We remember most what we hear last, and the next thing we remember is what happened first. Think of beginnings and endings of movies and books.
Yeah, I had a presentation recently with a client work, and that reminded me of it because they say, in sales training, they say, you need your first thing to be really important and your last thing to be really important, but nobody really hears anything in between. So I'm doing like a whole hour presentation. They're only going to hear two things, but I believe it. It's the same thing with night, first and last.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, girl, I appreciate you getting on today during your lunch and just sharing this with us. I wrote them down and taken them to heart. And we'll go back and we'll do a clip note for the group page with these 5 things. I love them.
Perfect.
Thanks, Court. I love you, and we're continuing to pray for you and your mom. And expecting great things, complete healing, restoration.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Love you.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.